What's up, everybody? Back again. Saturday. What do we got? We got just finished up Hobby Hotline, another phenomenal episode with Dr. James Beckett and Danny, who is going to be joining the show soon. He's going to be coming on. I think we're going to be doing a home and home. Danny Black. Actually, let me put that. I'll put that episode in the comments for anybody who's interested. Hobby Hotline. I've also been doing some of the social media stuff for them. It's on Bench Clear Media. Bench Clear Media. Yeah, I've been doing some of the organizing of the social media for Hobby Hotline. I'll put the link in there for anybody who is interested, wants to check it out. Do I put it here? Can I put it private chat? No comments. Can't post comments to same destination. There's the hobby hotline. There's the show. Let's go to, got a few topics, a few good stuff today. Let's see, where should we start? Let's start with Collectibles Guru. Oops. No, is it Collectibles Guru? The Collectibles Guru. Yeah, let's start with him. I think, nope, we got to share screen here. I thought this was pretty interesting. Oops, nope, that's not what I want to do. How do I'm trying to zoom in here. There we go, so I can get better. Actually, I think this is what I want to do, but I want to zoom in on the browser. So Collectible Guru, there was some speculation on some of his recent posts about how he's pricing some of the one-of-ones, and there was some, I guess it was controversy. I mean, I think he has good posts on social media. I think he does a lot of like breaking news, does a lot of like the breaking card pulls, and then he does a lot of like estimations, which I think if you're estimating one-of-ones, it can get a little bit sketchy. I think with this card here, so it's Desmond Ritter, 1-of-1 from Prism, said estimated 20,000, which like, and this is how he came to his conclusion. How I estimated the Trevor Lawrence 1-of-1 Black Auto 74,000, Trevor Lawrence Spectra 1-of-1 RPA 8,400. Same card for Ritter 1,600. Cross multiply, the Ritter is worth 14,000. But since the Black Trevor Lawrence got a PSA 8, the Ritter is hot from the product. I bumped it up to 20K. I mean, I think this is a fairly reasonable. I think that this is like a good explanation, to be honest. Like, I don't think. I think one-of-ones and just make like a be right back screen sometimes. So I'm in the office building in my apartment, and sometimes they give tours. So if I randomly mute, that's why. Yeah, when the one-of-ones, I think, can be tough to. There's a tour going on in the apartment that I live in. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, the one-of-one pricing. Oh, we got another tour coming. Yeah, Infinite Investment Game. Send me a message on Instagram or Twitter, and we can set something up. But yeah, so like I said, with grading one of ones, it can be tough because it's like you run into scenarios where the one of one, obviously there's no other sales of the cards. You don't know, and you won't know what the price of a certain card is until it sells. So like in this scenario, estimating it at 20,000, like I don't think there's anything wrong with giving an estimate. Like obviously if the person that pulled it, if this person looks at the card and says, well, I want more than 20,000, then it's like, then list it for more than 20,000. That's kind of, I think, my viewpoint on like how he does his estimations, and how I think just the hobby in general sometimes can run into situations where maybe the estimation isn't what people want it to be. Because like, I think that this formula here it's actually how I have figured out pricing for one of ones in general. Like I don't think there's no foolproof system for pricing one of ones unless you're selling it. Like that's really the only foolproof way, is to prove what the value is. So you kind of have to use the pricing of other cards to price your card. And I think this is exactly how I would have done it. You take the card that you have, you find a similar card for another player, and then you find the pricing, which I mean, I even think you don't even have to use another one of one sale. Like you could potentially use like, if it's a rookie card, I think, waiting a couple years, and that's maybe one of the other issues with this formula, is you have to wait until the pricing has kind of settled out a little bit. So like if this was I don't know, let's just say it's the Joe Burrow. Like you could maybe potentially take the pricing of the Joe Burrow Prism card, just the base card, and then same with the pricing of the Trevor Lawrence. If we're comparing the Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow here, you could potentially take the Trevor Lawrence and the Joe Burrow Prism cards, and you could compare them that way, the Prism cards, and see what the difference in price is. And then if there's a sale, like for this scenario, there was a sale of the one of one Trevor Lawrence Prism was 74,000. Like let's just say the Joe Burrow sold for 100,000. I think it might be a little bit higher, but I think the point of this conversation is that if the Joe Burrow sells for 100,000, then you would look at maybe there's going to be like it's going to be like 100 or 75. Granted, like if the Joe Burrow, like let's use this example here. So Joe Burrow, let's say his Prism card's worth 100, say that Trevor Lawrence's is worth 75. In this scenario, if you have the Trevor Lawrence that sells for 75K, then you maybe would be able to price the Joe Burrow at 100K, if that makes sense. That's how I would do it, at least. I think, like I said, the only foolproof way for pricing a one of one is to sell the card. And I think, unfortunately, there may be scenarios where you try and sell the card and it doesn't sell for the price that you want. I think for most auction houses, though, they do have like a reserve that you can say, I want 100,000 for this card. And if it doesn't sell for 100,000, then it doesn't sell. I do think with some of the reserves, though, if like hypothetically you have 100,000 reserve and it gets up to like 80, and I think you want to sell it at 80, like then you're fine to sell it. Like I'm pretty sure they allow you to do that. I'm not 100% sure if that's true or not, but that would make sense. Like if the highest bidder gets up to 100,000 in your reserve, if 80,000 in your reserve is 100,000, I'm pretty sure you could say, well, I'll sell it for 80,000 because, for whatever reason. But like just in general, when you're pricing these one of one cards, it can be tricky and it's not so cut and dry and straightforward. But I think this formula that he's using is sort of how I would use it. I wouldn't necessarily, I guess it's the same formula that I use, but with one of ones and different types of cards. I would use a card that has maybe a little bit more data behind it. So like the Prism cards, I think are going to have more sales data behind them than like this card. And I mean, unfortunately, maybe you even look at like if the Prism card, like hypothetically, if there's 4,000 Joe Burrows and there's only like 1,300 Trevor Lawrence PSA 10s, maybe those numbers can take into account if you're trying to estimate But if it's like a raw auto, like I know a question that I get on TikTok occasionally is like if they got some random one of one or they got some random autograph and they don't know how to price it because there haven't been any sales. I would just find, and if we're talking about cards, not specifically Prism, or we're talking about cards that are kind of in another random set, that's the formula I would use. I would look at the base price of like any set between the two players. So like the base, like, and I think a scenario that I found like a lot of like one question I think I got like a couple months ago was like, I'm trying to find the price of this one of one Bryce Harper, and I don't know how to find it. I would take like Bryce Harper's Tops Chrome or his Tops base rookie PSA 10. I would take Mike Trout's rookie PSA 10, but you could use any player in this scenario. I would just look at other players that have cards in that set and see if that card has sold. Like I had a Alex Bregman one of one. It wasn't a rookie card. It was just like a one of one like letter patch that I sold when that came out of 2019 Tops. And the way that I did it was I just found the other players in that set and I saw what their pricing was. And then I looked at the rookie cards of the players in that set that also had cards selling. And I kind of use that as a formula to figure out what the price of this one of one could be. You know, you always have like a high end, in my opinion. I always usually set my cards a little bit higher than I would like to sell them. And if someone accepts the offer, that's great. If it comes down to a point where I have to send offers that are a little bit lower than I'd like, you know, I'm okay doing that because, in some scenarios, like that is just what you have to do if you are trying to sell your card, even if it is a card that you want to sell for higher. Just some scenarios come down where you have to sell your card for less than you want because of opportunity costs, essentially. Like if you have a one of one Bryce Harper card and there are only hypothetically 10 buyers for that card, like if one of the 10 buyers wants to buy the card and you don't want to sell it for the price, you're taking one of the buyers out of the market completely. And if those other 10 buyers if they don't want to buy that card, then you're kind of running the situation where no one is going to buy it because they don't want to or whatever. I think it's kind of a scenario. I talked about this previously with like Prism versus like National Treasures. Like the Prism card, you're going to have many more buyers than you will National Treasures. Also, just because there are more of those cards compared to National Treasures. Like with National Treasures, if you're looking at like one of the number to 99 RPAs, there's only 99 of those cards in general. And then you add on the fact that some of the cards, depending on the player, are selling for 10,000, 100,000. Like, so you take that number of buyers and you decrease it because, like, sure, everybody would love to have one of those number to 99 National Treasures RPAs. But like, if the price is $100,000, let's just say there are, whatever. Let's say there's 500 people that would want one of those National Treasures RPAs. At the price of $100,000, maybe there's only 5 or 6 people that can even afford that price. So they're not going to go and be able to buy that card. So you're dwindling the market a little bit. And then you also have to look at the scenario. It's like, who's in the market for the card right now, but that you're trying to sell it. So selling certain cards can be a little bit more tricky when it comes to like timing, price of the card, who wants the player, like when the card is being sold, all of those things. So like, with this formula that I think, Eric put together, I think it's a fairly good I think it's good in terms of like how to figure out the pricing of a one of one. And I think it's good that he's kind of putting this formula out there as well, because, there was another card that was recently he posted about that he said it was about 12,000 and there was people that were saying that was a little bit low. So I think, figuring out what the pricing of the card, I don't think he is somebody who is just making up pricing of cards. But I think I think that this specific example is showing people that, he's not, I'm putting the tweet in the chat if you want to take a look as well. I think he's he's showing his thought process behind how he's pricing these cards, which I think is very smart. Because that's sort of part of his content strategy is pricing some of these one of ones. And whether if it's low, then, unfortunately, maybe you put it up for sale and you put a reserve on it and you say, if it doesn't sell for at least 15,000, like in this scenario, the $12,000 card, if it doesn't sell for 15,000, then I don't want to sell it because that's what I want to sell it for. But like I said, you have to look at opportunity costs for a card like that. And I think he actually even uses this as an example here. He said the Trevor Lawrence card got a PSA 8 and the Ritter is from a hot product, so it's bumped up. So he said he's cross multiplying these numbers to come out to this 14,000. But since it's coming out of Prism, he's saying it's more like 20,000, which he's almost got 20,000 views on this, which is kind of funny. But I think I think the price tag on this card, like, I think he's doing more good than he is harm, maybe. I think it maybe some people potentially think it's the opposite. Like, I know that he's kind of run into some scenarios recently where some of his tweets have not been favorably looked at. I mean, pretty impressive numbers though. 104K on Twitter. I mean, those are not numbers that I have seen. So 200 likes, 17 retweets, 64 comments. So yeah, I mean, numbers, I think when it comes to hobby content too, like, I talked about this on Hobby Hotline and etiquette and stuff like that. And I do think that, tagging the accounts that are talking about the card, I think is important, or tagging the accounts that pulled the card, I think is important, because when it comes for breaking, he's looking at when it comes to breaking. Actually, I'm going to tweet this out really quick. Talking about this tweet on live right now. Oops, and actually I want to quote tweet, talking about this tweet on live right now. And we'll then put the live stream. Or do we want to put the YouTube channel? I don't know. What do we want to do here? Let's go to here. Let's see. Where is my recent? Go here. Hero. Okay, yeah, we'll put that in the tweet. Bada bing, bada boom, we're back. So I think what you'll find is that breakers in general, they're obviously running their business on social media. So like the pulling of a card, I think, is important for those breakers to sell their product. I don't necessarily, I'm on the fence if I like that that's sort of how breaking is marketed in general, because I think it's sort of selling false hope in a way. I think I get that it's, I get that that's how breaks are done essentially, but either way, yeah. So I think when it comes to this type of formula with one of ones, with cards in general, I do think it's tough. And I do actually commend Eric for putting himself out there here and saying that, like, this is what he thinks the value of the card is worth, because, I think that he's really one of the only people that I've seen do that. I'm sure people could show examples of other people saying what cards are worth, but like, I think putting the formula, which is something that the formula I have used when people ask me about random one-of-ones and autographs and stuff from sets. I think this formula makes a lot of sense. And then even, I guess it's sort of hard to calculate the extra, he's saying an extra 5.5K here because it's coming out of Prism, which I guess I agree with. There isn't a mathematic formula for this last part, but for all of these numbers, I think that it clearly shows that there's mathematics that go into selling some of these one-of-ones, whether you agree with the math or you don't agree with the math. I think the one great part about sports cards is, like, if you don't agree with somebody, you can say that you disagree. And, I think the one thing that it kind of also reminds me of is like the backyard break situation when because he was actually now that I'm thinking about it, he was the person that kind of put together a lot of the information on the math behind like the backyard breaks, pulling like all of these crazy one of ones, which I don't know if it's maybe serendipitous or if it's a coincidence, but like since he put out this data, I haven't really seen as much, crazy pulls from them. I don't know if that's necessarily on purpose, or I don't know if it's whatever, or if they're not marketing, or if it's whatever. But either way, he put out the data behind that, how probable it was for them to pull all of these cards and the probability of them pulling all of these cards. And it's one of the great parts about social media and sports cards is that there's so much data behind a lot of the stuff on social media that, you don't have to, if you don't think he's correct, you can then, you can do the math yourself. I think that's also kind of a scenario that people maybe overlook or don't think about it either, I think. Just had to check the audio. But yeah, so I mean, those are kind of my thoughts overall, I think, on this, the pricing of one of ones, and this one specifically. Like, I'm glad that Eric put out this information because I think it's important. I think it's important for transparency within the hobby. I mean, I think that's one of the things, in my opinion, that I'm hoping we're going to see a lot more of going forward is transparency within everything within sports cards, whether it's, selling or buying or grading or all of these things. Like, I think that there are tons of opportunities for people within sports cards to just be more transparent about everything. And it's going to help the industry because you're going to have people come in. I think there's kind of like a combination of people that are coming into sports cards. You have people who maybe they're new to reselling, or maybe they're new to the buying and selling of stuff, and they don't really understand some of this stuff. And then you have people who maybe are going to come in, and maybe you're going to have people to come in and maybe have a little bit more of a background in this type of thing. And this information is going to be available for them to look at. And they're going to, look at it and say that it's going to be more trustworthy, I think, in a sense. Like, I think this type of information is going to make people this type of information is going to help people trust the industry a little bit more, because I think that's something that we sort of lack a little bit. I think the industry needs more transparency because there just doesn't seem like there's a lot of it. It's a lot of like a handshake agreement, like we trust each other, but I don't think everybody, it should be trusted, not necessarily anybody off the top of my head, but I just think that there are people who unfortunately are not in this for the right reasons. I think there are people who are absolutely in this for the right reasons. So I think, like, in this scenario, this is just an example of data that's being shown that's going to help new people coming in that maybe are looking for the pricing of this. And it goes back to like in 2018, 2019, when I was getting back into cards, like finding articles about sports cards and content about sports cards was kind of hard because there wasn't much of it. And a lot of it was just like, here's info about this set. Here's info about this set. There wasn't much granular data about certain things. Like Card Ladder didn't exist. I mean, there's tons of things that just didn't exist back in 2018 that exist now that help with the data and transparency within sports cards. And that's something that I think a lot of people will be interested in the future. And I think I'm going to keep, this is a saying that I'm going to keep using, and I'm going to keep saying it because I think it's the truth. I think right now we are writing the story of sports cards. We're transitioning from like publications, Beckett Magazine, talk to Dr. Beckett on Hobby Hotline, but we're transitioning from like written stuff, stuff in magazines, stuff on like, in newspapers, stuff along those lines, to like online articles and social media. And it's a big shift, I think, for the industry. And I think we're writing the story of what's going on in sports cards right now, that I think 10 years down the road, there may be a documentary or there may be something that's put together that's going to show sort of what we were doing and what the industry was like. And it's all being written on social media. So you can either, be a part of it, or you can participate in it, or you can talk crap about people on social media and all that kind of stuff. But I think, 10 years down the line, I think it's I hope that people look at some of the stuff that's being produced favorably favoritively. That's the word I'm looking for. Because I think that there are scenarios where that's not the case, unfortunately. Like, we have like scandals with trimming and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's sometimes that's what articles get written about also because it's drama and it gets clicks. But like, I also think that there are people on social media that are doing good content and producing the information that's going to be used in the future down the road. That's going to be important for people who are trying to learn about the industry and learn about the history of the industry. And on a daily basis, people are writing the story essentially. And I hope that, I'm a part of that eventually down the road, if that happens. But I just think, like I said, in general, I think right now we're writing the story about what's going on and what the industry is right now. And I think that's pretty cool. And I think that's sort of content and what's happened on social media over the past few years is, it's going to help people down the road learn about the industry quicker. It's going to help all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that's what I got for this tweet. I should have tweeted that out actually earlier because I probably would have been better, but either way, let's see what else we got. Let's see, let's go to hottest hobby boxes. Actually, there's a tweet that I had that was about this, right? Let me find the tweet. I'll retweet that. Let's see. Where was it? Cardboard Connections. Here we go. Copy the tweet here, bring it over. Or we get started on actually discussing the topic. Talking about, oops. Should be saving the link somewhere. Probably should just have it up. Yeah, I'm just going to keep the link here. All right, so hottest hobby boxes right now, top, and this is, do they have a date on here? Oh, these are sales from the 8th to the 14th. So this is good little retrospect. So here's what they're saying. So Series 1 continued to hold the top spot as best-selling hobby. So this is actually before Prism released. So that's why it's probably not going to be on this list. Followed by Topps Chrome Sonic Baseball second, Topps Bowman's Best, Topps Allen and Ginter Chrome. So a lot of baseball right now. Actually, is it just baseball that they're talking about, or is this just in general? So this is top sports card boxes, not just baseball. We got 5th was Donruss Basketball, Panini Draft Picks Basketball 13th, Panini Hoops 16th. Kind of interesting for basketball. Oh, and then, for other sets that were baseball, 6th was Topps Chrome Update. Panini Elite Extra was 7th. So there's a lot of like baseball that's up in this top list right now. So 5th Donruss. So actually they probably have it in order here. Yeah, so I mean, Series 1, I think that they did a phenomenal job marketing this product. Topps did. And so I think it's going to be popular probably until Series 2 comes out. I do, with Series 1, I've always talked about with Flagship, I wish that they would maybe reduce it and only come out with a Series 1 and a Series 2. And then maybe do like a smaller set, but that Topps Traded, I think, was an example of how they used to do it, where they came out with the full set and then they came out with like a traded set. I'm on the fence about if they should do that, if they should still do it that way. I would like to see potentially Flagship. It's a very interesting product in my opinion, actually. So like Flagship, I think. Let's see if we can. Is there a way to zoom with the mouse here? No, I can only do it with the keyboard. So Flagship, I think it's one of the most interesting sets to me because it's like the go-to rookie for most players. But also there's so many of them that like it has a very interesting price versus like how important the card is. I guess it's almost like if you're looking to buy into a flagship rookie, you should be looking into either the gold, the numbered card, or you should be looking into the rainbow foil. I forget what the odds on those are, but I know that like over the past couple of years, they've actually decreased the odds, so you're getting those cards a lot less. Oh, excuse me, you're getting those cards a lot less. So if you're looking for flagship players, like that's my suggestion is go with either the gold, the numbered card, the numbered gold card, which each year they increase the number. So like this year would be it would be numbered 2000, and there's 2023 cards of each player in the base set. And then the rainbow foil, which I don't think is numbered. I'm like 95% sure that's not numbered. And now I think they actually added another gold foil that's not numbered as well. So they're sort of adding some players to the set. So I think if you are looking to buy any players, like that's the direction I would go instead of the base card. I think the base cards are cool and they're fun to own, but like if you're looking from a value long-term perspective, unfortunately, you're not going to be getting probably as much value from those cards compared to like if you're buying any of the gold. Like let's see, actually, I'm going to go to eBay really quick and just look at some examples. eBay, we're going to use 2 tabs and we're going to compare the pricing. Let's use Julio Rodriguez, let's use Julio Rodriguez. So 2022 Topps Julio Rodriguez. I do wonder. Yeah, so it's Topps update. Topps update. Topps update. This would be the card hypothetically you'd want to look for. Then let's look at the sold prices. I mean, it's probably going to be like $1 or $2. It's not going to be anything crazy. Is this the right one? Let's see. Let's zoom in here. We're going to switch screens. Is this the right one? Yeah, I just want to make sure there's no. Okay, so that is the correct card. So 2022 Topps update. Oh, because I clicked in here. So yeah, looks like $5-ish. And then if we go to, we're going to go to the new tab. And we're going to go to Topps update Julio Rodriguez gold. This will give us, because there's a gold foil rookie, which is similar, I would imagine, to the actually, let me just make sure I pull the number because the number I think is important. It's number 144 or 44, US 44. So it's update series 44. We're going to go back here. We don't want the foil either. That's kind of the other thing. So yeah, I mean, you're definitely spending more. It's kind of interesting that I wonder why these are so significantly different in price. Let's just click into this listing and take a look. PSA 9 gold. Oh, maybe this is the foil, gold foil. Is this gold foil? Nope, gold, and then it's numbered on the back. So I do wonder why that one sold for. And then I also want PSA 10, so about 1,000. So non-gold. I mean, you are going to be probably spending so that's interesting. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So the PSA 9s, it looks like the PSA 9s of these cards are selling for more than, or for less than the raw version, which I'm not 100% sure. That's kind of interesting to me. That's dangerous if you are buying this card raw. Oh, I'm not even on the right tab. Dang it. Oops, we'll go back. Present. We'll just share here. No, we got to go to here. Yeah, so size this. Yeah, so the raw version of these cards are going to be, looks like they're around 300. I mean, I think another one sold for around that price, 260. Gold foil, which that's kind of interesting. I wonder, rainbow foil. Let's maybe just look up rainbow foil because, oops, I spelled that wrong. So actually, maybe. So rainbow foil 75, PSA 8 41. That's actually a decent price, I think. 72, PSA 10 300, silver rainbow. That person, I don't know why that sold for 100, where these are all selling for around 40. It seems like there's a pretty varied range in price for this card, just even over the past like month or so. Let's just make sure we have some of these tabs closed too. So let's 2022 Topps update. Go to Cardboard Connections real quick and just see if we can. We're going to share this tab. We're actually going to see if they have, odds here. So this is, I think this is important to look at. So gold foil 1 and 2 packs. So if you're getting a blaster, you're getting a gold foil in one. You're basically getting one in every. You're getting between, I think there's either 8 or 12 packs. I forget. Actually, does it say? I forget how many packs. I'm pretty sure it's 10. It's either 8, 10, or 12. I forget. Actually, I can just look that up. 2022 Topps update blaster. 2022 Topps update. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Seven packs. I thought it was more than that. Is that correct? There's only 7 packs in these now. 7 packs in one commemorative pack. Okay, so 8 packs. Or 7 packs essentially. So gold foil, you're getting 1 in every 2 packs. So that means you're getting like 2 to 3 per box. Rainbow foil 1 in every 10 packs. So you may or may not get one. Gold, I guess I'm wondering where the odds are on this one. I don't know why there are no odds. Gold foil is a hobby box only. That's good to know. The regular gold is available in all formats. Oh, okay. So that's good to know. So the gold, it actually says that right there too. Wow, I totally missed that. Thank you for pointing that out, hobbyist. So yeah, rainbow foil is in both gold. Like I don't know why there's no, because it used to be you get 1 per box essentially. It was one per every 10, 8 packs, whatever it used to be. Because I thought there were more packs in these blasters as well. Maybe not anymore. But either way, so the gold foil, maybe that's why the pricing is the way that it is for that card. But yeah, so I would go. I would go with either the rainbow foil or the gold because it looks like those two are still fairly rare. The gold, like I said, I thought it used to be basically one in every blaster. Let me see if I can find the odds on a pack because there should be odds. Let's see if it says. Green rainbow foil. Let's see. Is it gonna? Oh no, it opened. Oh, okay. Actually, it was in here that they had it. Now that I'm looking at it. Let me go back to Google here. Series 1, which I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, Series 1 is. We're gonna open this up here. Good content. Rainbow foil 1 in every 10. Let's see if we can find the gold. Gold 1 in every 38. So that's bad because it used to be like 1. It used to be like 1 in every 8. So that's crazy that it changed that much. But so, yeah, I mean, even that, I think that even adds to it. Like the gold rainbow foil, those are the cards I would be looking at if you're looking to buy. Because even just looking at the pricing here, you look at the price between like basically $5 for a regular base card. And then you're looking at, for the gold, for Julio Rodriguez specifically, it's probably not that, like, it might be, I guess, like I said in the previous part of the video, I talked about using data and numbers. So yeah, rainbow foil 70, looks like it's about 75. And then the gold cards looks like it was 300. As I remember, it was 300 for the raw. So 570 and 300 for the gold. Obviously, you're spending more money on that gold card, but I think if you can buy a PSA 9, that's fine. I think with those numbered cards, I actually think buying low graded numbered cards is actually a decent strategy if you're looking to buy a more exclusive version of a base card. So that goes for Prism too. I mean, Prism numbered cards aren't really the way that they used to be. Like I think with like Luka, 2018 specifically, the Luka and the Trae Young were kind of ones that I specifically looked at back in the day. And the red, I think, was numbered to 299, and then I think the blue is numbered to 199. And I think back in the day, actually, I remember I probably made an Instagram post about it. The red and the silver, the regular base silver, used to be the same price, which was interesting. So like if you're looking for a numbered base card, going with a low graded numbered base card is a decent strategy. If you're kind of looking to up the value, or not up the, if you're looking to up the, I don't know, value, I guess you could call it. But if you're looking to up your game when it comes to buying that type of card, that type of base card, I think that buying the numbered base card at a low grade, you're probably going to find even cheaper, like PSA 8s and PSA 7s, maybe even cheaper than the regular base card itself. And granted, if you want, it might even be worth trying to, and I know I've said this in the past, I've been against this, but cracking it and regrading it if you want to. I don't know, that maybe is something you couldn't do until they stop people from doing it. It's something that you can do. It's not something that I advise or something that I enjoy people doing, but if you can do it, then just do it. I guess that's maybe the scenario. So then Topps Chrome Sonic Edition, I think, honestly, with this was a concept that I talked about that I wanted them to do, that I wanted to be done in sports cards, that now that it has been done, I don't know if I like it as much. Like Panini did it with Hoops. They did it with Hoops Premium and regular Hoops. And then I think they had like Donruss and then clearly Donruss. I wanted them to expand on their larger brands rather than trying to expand on their smaller brands. And now that I've seen it kind of done, I don't know if I necessarily like it as much. And maybe it's different. Maybe if they did do a Prism, like I thought that they should do a Prism paper version of Prism, and maybe it changes. Like I think instead of increasing the print run of Prism, they should have made a secondary Prism product and made it like a Donruss and an Optic, where there's two different versions. There's a paper version and there's a Chrome version. I think that's what they should have done with Prism rather than increasing the print run the way that they did. But like I also just said, I think this is sort of what they did with Topps Chrome. They kind of have come out with like Topps Chrome Ben Baller Edition, Topps Chrome Sonic, Topps Chrome Cosmic. Like they've come out with a bunch of different Topps Chromes that I don't know if I like it as much in practice now that I've actually seen it. But I do think that like if they were to come out with that paper Prism rather than increasing the print run on the regular Prism, that would have been a better strategy. But like I said, also like now that I'm seeing it in practice, I'm not 100% sure if I like it as much that I do now. Like with baseball, they have it too. Like they have Topps. You got Topps Chrome. They've got Bowman. They've got Bowman Chrome. They've done it, and I think I don't know. I'm not sure. And I guess they kind of did it with Allen and Ginter as well. Like they have Allen and Ginter Chrome. I guess it's okay. I'm not 100% sure if I like it or not. I think maybe it's just that I wanted them to do with Prism, and now that they're doing it with other brands, I don't like it as much, but I guess maybe it's a little bit different. So, but either way, that's kind of my thoughts on sort of the evolution of Topps Chrome in general, and sort of the expansion of the brand, I think. Bowman's best hobby boxes, not much. There's Allen and Ginter Chrome, like I was just talking about. I mean, I think that was something that they did this year was they chromed a lot of versions. They chromed a lot of different cards, which, like I said, is okay. I think in practice, it's maybe not exactly what I thought it would be, so maybe I don't like it as much. Donruss, I talked about that recently. Not a huge fan of the design. Topps Chrome update, pretty decent. Elite Extra, has the Drew Jones, Jackson Holiday, kind of like it's kind of like a version of Bowman in a way for Panini. It's okay. I'm not like a huge fan. Panini Phoenix, again, not a brand that I'm a huge fan of. I mean, I guess in general, I'm not like into football cards the same way I am into like knowing all the sets and liking all the sets the way that I am with basketball. So maybe it's a good set. I'm not 100% sure here. Bowman Chrome Sapphire. I guess Bowman Chrome Sapphire is kind of another thing. Like I feel like maybe they saw Topps saw what Topps Chrome Sapphire was doing, and that's the reason why they wanted to go with some of these other brands and start making the Topps Chrome brand into other styles to see if they could, maybe it's like if they were to go here and the Sonic edition, if they were to change that and maybe go with like, I don't know, Heritage Sonic edition, or I think they did Heritage Chrome too. Like I know there are Chrome Heritage cards within Heritage, but like if they're trying to see sort of the increasing of the different types of cards and seeing if that changes the way that people buy the sets. I'm not 100% sure. But that's something that I think, I can see them doing it. I'm not 100% sure if they are or not, but yeah, so there's that. Let's see. Bowman Chrome U. I mean, like I said, I think this is one of my favorite evolutions that Topps has done over the past couple of years, to be honest. Fleer Avengers, another cool product that I'm not into it, but like I think it's a cool product that has like cool cards probably in it. Bowman Inception. I like Inception. That's one of my favorite products, actually. Panini Draft Picks, I think, is cool. I think it's last year's. I wish it would have been. I guess there's maybe no way to do it this year, and maybe we'll see it in the future. But like Prism Draft Picks, either way, still kind of cool. And Topps Chrome is still on that list. That's good. Pre-sale of Panini of Prism Football. This is from the 8th to the 14th, so the pre-sale was in the top 20. Pretty interesting. Panini Hoops Basketball in the top 20. Heritage High Number, another good set that I really like. So maybe they only did top 17, but either way. So those were some of the top selling hobby boxes from this past week, or at least from the 8th to the 14th. So that was look at calendar. That was from Wednesday to Tuesday of this week. Let's see, what else do we have here? Here we go. We got another one. We're going to talk about SGC. Share this tab instead. We're actually going to talk about this card specifically. I said I was going to keep this open, and then I didn't. It's all right. All right, so the one of one national treasures, Logo Man, Shea Gilchrist Alexander sells for $228,000. Yeah, I mean, I think I'll be interested to see sort of where maybe there's a shift in which players people want, because I think within the hobby we do kind of have this thing sometimes where it's like the shiny new thing is what people are interested in, and people sort of lose interest in players pretty quickly. Like Shea has always kind of been in the conversation, like the second tier conversation. I'd say if we're looking at 2018 players, he's definitely in the top 2, 3, maybe top 5. I'd say, you got Luka, I think Trey, DeAndre Ayton, Shea Gilchrist Alexander's in that conversation. But he's kind of always been the one where people are looking into buying his cards. I think the one thing with his cards too is he doesn't have I think they made a mistake and he doesn't have a rookie logo on his 2018 Prism card, which is unfortunate. Obviously, an unfortunate mistake for a player who, potentially could turn into the best player, one of the best players from that draft. I don't think he'll ever be better than Luka. I mean, if we go to, let's see, 2018 NBA draft, I'm just going to pull this up really quick and see. Basketball Reference, who has played the most amount of games. He's got to be up there, I'd say. Jalen Brunson's in there. Luka, Devontae Graham. Let's look at points. Yeah, he's third in points. Let me just switch tabs real quick. So he's third in points behind Trae Young and Luka. Colin Sexton is definitely in that conversation. Interesting. I mean, Marvin Bagley, sheesh. That's an unfortunate pick there. Jaren Jackson, also an interesting player. Mo Bamba has kind of had a little bit of a resurgence, I think. But yeah, points, and let's see, Vorp. I mean, he's probably even third. So, I don't know. Okay, so there it is. So value over replacement player, which it's sort of like, I don't know, that's sort of a fake stat in my opinion. I guess it is the combination of a bunch of stats, but either way, I think, let me just close some stuff here so we don't run into an issue where the computer dies. But yeah, so like I said, I think Shea's coming up into this conversation of like the third best player from that draft. So seeing his price, he's seeing his card sale. This is the most expensive card for him. Also seeing it in SGC slab is kind of interesting. I mean, I think SGC has had some RPAs, but none of them have really, I think Vintage is much more of an SGC staple. I think we are seeing SGC sort of trying to get more into other types of cards. And I think I think that's a good thing. I think SGC getting into other types of cards is good. But RPAs is not really something that we've seen. I mean, most of the time, I think Beckett has been the company that really has kind of been an RPA company, and then PSA is more sort of like the base card. But I think maybe, I don't know, maybe this is a scenario where we are going to see sort of a shift potentially, and maybe SGC is kind of getting into the conversation. I would be also interested to see if grading companies would pay people to, instead of having people pay, if they would pay people to have cards in their slabs. That's something that I could definitely see in the future if it's not already going on. I could see this card being pulled and SGC reaching out and being like, hey, we'll pay you to put this in SGC slab. Now, granted, that would be sort of a conflict of interest because they can't really then they can give it a good grade, but at the same time, it's like, if something was paid for to get graded, I could definitely see conspiracy theorists being like, look at SGC now they're paying for cards to get good grades. And I don't think that's what happened here, but I could see that in the future. I don't think PSA would necessarily ever do it, but I think SGC, if they had sort of a marketing budget, if they wanted to allocate it towards getting some cards into slabs, or even being if you want to, we'll pay you to cross it over or something along those lines. Cause granted, people may not want to have their card in an SGC slab if it's going to get a 7 or an 8, if it's in a PSA 10 slab, obviously. But if it's an RPA or if it's a high value card, there's a chance that I could see grading companies paying people to put those cards in in slabs. But I think unfortunately you will maybe run into the scenario where the conspiracy people will think that, well, since they paid for it, that they gave it a good grade because they got it paid for or whatever. I'm not 100% sure like if it's in their best interest, but I think it would be something that, I don't know, if they know that they're not doing that, then that's okay, because like they can just easily come out with a statement and say that they're not doing that. And I think that, in my opinion, as more companies would just, if there's conspiracy theories out there about stuff like this and companies just come out and say that they're not doing the thing that people are saying that they're doing, I actually think that would be a good idea. And it, if people believe in SGC and they believe them that they're saying that, anytime someone says that, they can just say, well, there has to be some sort of legally binding thing that when they come out with a statement like that. I would imagine there has to be something like that. Hold on one second. Am I going to be able to? Is this going to reach? I don't think so. Maybe. How close am I? You have to be like right here. Let's just the whole setup. I'm trying to figure out if I need to plug my computer in here, because I don't. Am I gonna do this? If I it's not exactly ideal, but we'll get through it here. Let's move this, move the mouse over here. But yeah, so I don't think that they paid the. Yeah, I definitely don't think that they paid to get this card into slab, but I don't know. I think that I don't think it's a terrible idea, to be completely honest, to pay to get cards graded if you're SGC. Like, and I guess it depends. Like, it's almost like it's the scenario like with Topps, like saying that they're going to 10x their business. It's like, how, like, are they going to reach out to new markets to try and 10x their business? Like, how exactly are they going to go about it? I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, this card for Shea, I mean, the Luka sold for, I think it sold for $3.3 million, I think, something like that, recently through Golden. So like, I mean, just as an example, like if people are pulling, now that these cards have both sold, yes, they're in different slabs, but I don't even think necessarily the slab itself matters. I think especially since this has like a 9 and a 10 auto, like I think these are now just good pieces of data that people can use if they're looking to price their cards, depending on how they want to do it. This is, you have the Luka price, you have the Jop or the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander price. If you're pulling cards from either of those players now, you have an example of where you maybe potentially can price those cards. Now, should this card maybe be closer to, should it be more money? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of the thing where it's like, is the market right? Or is the market right? Or should it have sold for more? Should it have sold for less? It's really like it's sort of like the scenario who the market is the market. So like this is the price of the card. Even if it should have sold for more, it didn't. So this is the price, and this is just what it is. Like, So, but like if it had sold a year ago, maybe it would have sold for more. But it's like that's just what the market is nowadays. So it's like the market is always right. The market is always the one that's going to determine what the price of something is. It's the only real foolproof method to figure out what the price of something is. And it's not even 100% foolproof, because it's like, what if you have an auction and the price and it sells for something, and then the person either didn't buy or didn't actually buy it? Like, so it's not 100% foolproof, but I think it's more foolproof than, a number of other things within the hobby, to be completely honest. Let's see. Here is House of Jordans, another, oh, because I wasn't on the right tab. So this was pretty interesting, I thought. Four of the best statistic games in the top 10 have happened this season in basketball. Here's the formula. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to try and get into like, this is actually like a fantasy formula, like a fantasy basketball formula, like good for probably like players if you're looking to find statistic anomalies within players or within games for fantasy purposes. This is probably a decent formula, but either way. So Chris from House of Jordans, I mean, like I said, Chris in Card Ladder has been, I think, one of the best additions to sports cards just in general. Like, if you're not, you should use Card Ladder if you're not using it to, find prices of cards, find images of cards. Like, it's really, they got bought by PSA, I think they got bought, or they're partnering with PSA. It's great because I think there's Christina, Josh, and Chris are, I think, three of the smartest sports card minds we have in the hobby today. I mean, and they really started the company, and I think it's phenomenal, everything that they're doing for the company in general, or I mean, for the sport, for the industry in general. And so, Chris is big on statistics, and I think Josh actually had one of the quotes that it's like it should probably be like, if there's a Mount Rushmore of hobby sports card quotes, it probably should be on there. It's like, I don't buy sports cards because they're good investments. They're good no, wait, sorry. Now I'm messing up the quote. Now I said it. We don't buy sports cards because they're good investments. They're investment. Now I'm totally butchering this quote. And I'm actually a little bit disappointed in myself that I'm messing up this quote. It's, we don't buy sports cards because they're good investments. They're good investments. I'm totally butchering the quote now, and I'm actually really disappointed in myself. Card Ladder. Let me see if I can find it, because I can't believe that I just said how good of a quote it was, and now I'm like messing up what the quote is. And I literally just saw it the other day too. Basically, we don't buy sports cards because they're a good investment. They're a good investment because he likes sports cards, essentially. That's not it. We don't like sports cards because they're a good investment. They're a good investment because we like them. Shoot. Now I'm totally butchering the quote, and that's actually a little bit embarrassing because I just talked about how good the quote was, and now I'm messing it up. I think I just saw it on Instagram too. Either way, Chris, Josh, Christina, phenomenal sports card minds. They built, I think, one of the most important platforms in all of sports cards. But yeah, so 4 of the 10 best regular season games happened this year, according to Basketball Reference game scoring metrics. So Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Luka, Joel Embiid. So here's the list right here. So Jordan, number 1. That happened in 1990. Kobe in 2006. Then Donovan Mitchell this year. Damian Lillard this year. Luka Doncic this year. Joel Embiid this year. Devin Booker, which I think this was the game against the Celtics when he scored like 70 points. But I think it goes to show within sports cards that I think there's a couple things here. So it's like people like the thing that's new, but it's also maybe the thing that's new is potentially better than the old. Like, and I don't necessarily think that the game is any better or any worse than it used to be, but I think it's interesting that I think that this fact is interesting because it shows that based on this statistic, in all of basketball, 4 of the 10 games happened within this year. Because then you look at the other games, there is James Harden 2018, Kobe in 2006, Karl Malone in 1990, Michael Jordan in 1988, Devin Booker in 2017. So, I mean, 2 of these games within the top 5, 2 of them within the top 5 happened in 1990. So you could say maybe that's a statistical anomaly or, whatever kind of scenario you want to look at there. 2 of them were from the same player within the top 10. So I guess there's a bunch of different ways you can look at the metric, because also 3 within or 2, half of the ones in the top 4 are from that 1990 season. So, maybe you look at that and say, well, the game isn't necessarily better or worse. Maybe it's just the eras that it comes to within, the sport in general. And I think how it maybe applies to cards is we look at the cards. I think it comes to if you look at certain cards from certain eras and then you compare them to the newest cards that are coming out, I think we always, at least I do for sure, talk about the newest cards because they're interesting and it's something new, where if you compare that to the other cards from other eras, maybe they're not as interesting because it's we already know what it is. We already know what those older cards are compared to the newer cards where it's not necessarily a mystery or whatever, but it's the newer cards, there is a little bit of a mystique between we don't exactly know what the cards are, where the older cards we do, the Karl Malone game, the Michael Jordan game. We understand that those are, obviously 2 of the statistical best games of all time from 2 of the 2 really good players. Michael Jordan also being, like I said, 2 on this list. There's 2 Michael Jordan games. I don't think anybody else has multiple games. I think he's the only one. Yeah. But I mean, I think it also could just be that there's from a scoring perspective, maybe the scores are higher, and maybe that's why, if we're comparing to sports cards, that's why people are more interested in the new because there's more of them. Maybe there's, maybe there's more, I don't know, parallels. Maybe there's more cards in general. Maybe that's why people are interested in it because you, even though there are more, you have more of an opportunity to pull the rookie card that you want, or you have more of an opportunity to pull some sort of cool parallel that you like or something along those lines. I think that's how I guess how I would compare these statistics to cards and say the newer cards, people are going to talk about them more because they're just interesting. And I guess where the season isn't even done yet either. So we'll see sort of where kind of that comes into play. I think an interesting name that isn't on this list is LeBron. And I'm not here to bash LeBron. I think he's the best player of this generation. I still think Jordan is a better overall player just from, winning championships. I think the championships that Jordan won and not losing any helps his resume more than LeBron, because LeBron also doesn't have 6 championships. That's kind of the other thing. It's maybe similar to Brady versus Montana, where Brady he also has more championships than anybody. So I guess maybe it's not a 1-to-1 example, but like I use that example where, Montana played in a bunch of Super Bowls and didn't lose, where Brady has played in a bunch and has lost. But also, like I said, he's won more than most franchises. Like he had such a dominant 2 decades that like it's impossible, I think, for you to look at a player and say, it's impossible to look at Brady and say he's not the best player. So it's kind of interesting to look at LeBron that way. Similarly, like he has more championships than a lot of teams just by himself. He's also been to so many different championships and won with multiple different teams. So I mean, maybe that's like a thing where it's like he can build these championship rosters and win. Now, granted, his Lakers one was the bubble championship, so it's maybe a little bit different. But I still think, a championship's a championship at the end of the day. I think people may not look at that one so fondly. Like I think the Cavs championship that he won against the Warriors is probably more impressive. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of how I look at this. Look at these numbers compared to some of the other, games and players just overall. Let's see. Actually, think that's all I've got for today. I was gonna have a guest, but I'm gonna have a guest on Wednesday, and I'm gonna try and have a guest on each episode, but we'll see. But yeah, that's all I've got. So thank you to everybody for watching.